about the congregation, or if you have any questions, please ask any board member or Reverend Patrick Price. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Holy and beautiful is the custom which brings us together this morning in the presence of that which we value most. To face our ideals, to remember our loved ones in absence, to give thanks, to make confession, to offer forgiveness, to be enlightened and to be strengthened. Through this quiet hour breathes the worship of ages, the cathedral music of history. Three unseen guests attend, faith, hope, and love. Let all of our hearts prepare them a place. Please join us now in our chalice lighting as we say these words together after I light the chalice. Together let us say, we come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods. Yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together matters. We light this chalice together in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change this world. Let us join in singing our opening song, Deck the Hall with Boughs of Holly, number 235 in your hymnal and on the screen. Deck the hall with boughs of holly, la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, la 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 la. Know the ancient Yuletide carol, la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, la 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 la. Take the harp and join the chorus, la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, la 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 la. Hail the new lads and lasses, la 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 la. Sing we joy and sound together, la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, la 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 la. Please join us in our responsive reading number 534, Gloria in your hymnal.
Can I interrupt that?
Yes.
The screen stopped for some technical reason.
Okay. So it is number 534 in your hymnal. So,
I'm trying to get it back up.
okay. Well, if we can, does anybody need a hymnal? Raise your hand and we can have an usher bring you hymnals. This is why we have low-tech backup.
Okay. The people online just can't see it right now.
Okay. My apologies to those of you online. We will try and keep you engaged. $534. We begin. Gloria. The tenacity of earth and its creatures. Kyrie eleison. These children who will go on to save what we cannot. Baruch atah Adonai. The ordinary tenacity of plans and of people. Om. The center of the universe, which is everywhere, not the least place, the human heart. Alleluia. The love that survives anger and winter and despair and sorrow and even death. Shalom. Love that persists. Namyo Renge Kyo. Call that is the seed in the dark. Amen. For endings that are beginnings, for beginnings that are endings. Alleluia. For the circle, the spiral, the web, the egg, the orbit, the center, the seed, the flower, the fruit, the opening, the death, the release, the seed. Amen. We are going on. Amen.
It is going on.
Amen.
Blessed be.
And now we greet the holy in our midst by briefly turning and greeting our neighbors. God's rest ye merry, gentle folk, let nothing you dismay. For in your lives are seeds of hope upon this solstice day, when light has come to spread its cloak, and darkness flees away. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. My colleague, Barbara Wells Tenhove, has written the following on the meaning of solstice. She says, while most of us have heard the term winter solstice, we don't necessarily know what it means. Many years ago, when I first started celebrating the solstice, a scientist explained it to me in a way that made sense. Learning from him, I wrote a reflection on the solstice that gives his scientific perspective a spiritual slant. I share it with you now, she says. The dark time has come. The earth, in her dance around the sun, has come inevitably to the solstice, the time of extremes, of distance, of darkness and light. In our hemisphere, here in the north, we experience this time as one of cold darkness, of shortening days and lengthening nights. The earth is tipping, from our perspective, further and further away from the sun. We wait, but the moment when the darkness is greatest is not entirely predictable. The spinning dance of the earth continues, but for one brief instant, when the axis of the earth's rotation crosses the line through the center of our orbit, around our sun, the tipping stops. And for a moment, we seem to stand suspended in space, pulsing with potential movement and ongoing life. Then, like a child's top that almost fell over, we are saved by the spin and lifted up again towards the light.
So ends that reading. Now I'm going to be doing a poem here in a moment with your help, by the way, called The Green Man. But I want to tell you a little bit about the Green Man. The Green Man is a legendary being primarily interpreted as a symbol of life, death, and rebirth, representing the cycle of new growth that occurs every spring. Just like that. Most commonly, he is depicted in sculpture or in other representations of a face made up completely surrounded by leaves. He is a pre-Christian and contemporary pagan symbol who heralds spring after a long winter and the renewal of lush vegetation. The symbol of Godhead within the male and his relationship with the transcendent life force of the goddess, the female expression of divinity. The Green Man is also variously known as the Jack in the Green, Robin Hood, the King of the May, and the Garland, and is historically a central figure of May Day celebrations throughout Northern Europe and Central Europe. In the Journal of Future Studies, Professor Phyllis Aranyo writes, "The Green Man is an artistic, iconic representation, part human, part plant. History is filled with Green Man images in architecture, stained glass, sculpture, painting, mythology, literature, and folklore. It is a recurrent visual phenomenon in Western art practice, appearing and disappearing consistently across numerous time periods, cultures, and geographic locations. Evidence shows that these emergences often are linked to times of upheaval, change, or environmental crisis. Currently, the image is reappearing in a wide range of artistic and cultural manifestations. Some modern examples that people consider to be of the Green Man include Peter Pan and the Jolly Green Giant. The Green Man is also the archetype of the oneness of the earth, and Father Christmas, the gift giver, can also be seen as a form of the Green Man. In architectural historian William Anderson's 1990 book, The Green Man, Archetype of Our Oneness with the Earth, which I highly recommend, it's one of my favorite books, he wrote a now classic poem at the very beginning that's a call and response poem called The Green Man. It has 13 verses that follows the wheel of the year around through solstice. And I'm going to invite you now to share that poem with me. So to introduce, can we bring it up just a little bit? All right. So to bring you up to speed, this is a call and response poem. Can you hear me? All right. At the end of the stanza, I'm going to say something like, "I am thought of all plants, says the Green Man." And you're going to say, "I am thought of all plants, says he." Okay? And I'm going to say, "I am thought of all plants, says the Green Man." And you're going to say, "I am thought of all plants, says he." Or, "I rise with the sap, says the Green Man." And you're going to say, "I rise with the sap, says he." So there's a formula to this. Okay? All right? I need the kids to particularly help me with this. Okay? So I need you all to pay attention because the grown-ups can fall asleep sometimes. All right? All right. Like antlers, like veins of the brain, the birches mark patterns of mind on the red winter sky. "I am thought of all plants, says the Green Man."
I am thought of all plants, says he.
"The hungry birds harry the last berries of rowan, but white is her bark in the darkness of rain. I rise with the sap, says the Green Man. I rise with the sap, says he. The ashes are clashing their boughs like sword dancers. Their black buds are tracing wild faces on the clouds. I come with the wind, says the Green Man. I come with the wind, says he. The alders are rattling as though ready for battle, guarding the grove where she waits for her lover. I burn with desire, says the Green Man. I burn with desire, says he. It's in and out of the yellowing wands of willow. The pollen-bright bees are plundering the catkins. I am honey of love, says the Green Man. I am honey of love, says he. The hedges of quick are thick with May's blossoms as the dancers advance on the leaf-covered king. It's off with my head, says the green man. It's off with my head, says he. Green man becomes grown man in flame of the oak as its crown forms his mask and its leafage his features. I speak through the oak, says the green man. I speak through the oak, says he. The holly is flowering as hayfields are rolling, their gleaming long grasses like waves of the sea. I shine with the sun, says the green man. I shine with the sun, says he. The hazels are rocking the cups of their nuts as the harvesters shout when the last sheaf is cut. I swim with the salmon, says the green man. I swim with the salmon, says he. The globes of the grapes are robing with bloom like the hazes of autumn, like the Milky Way stardust. I am crushed for your drink, says the green man. I am crushed for your drink, says he. The aspen drops silver of leaves on earth's silver, and the poplars shed gold on the young ivy flower heads. I have paid for your pleasure, says the green man. I have paid for your pleasure, says he. The reed beds are flanking in silence the islands where meditates wisdom as she waits and waits. I have kept her secret, says the green man. I have kept her secret, says he. The bark of the elder makes whistles for children to call to the deer as they rove over the snow. I am born in the dark, says the green man. I am born in the dark, says he. Thank you for your help. I invite you now to join us in a traditional carol, The Holly and the Ivy, an insert in your order of service and on the screen. Please rise as you're willing and able, in body and spirit. The holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, of all the trees that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown. The rising of the sun, and the running of the deer, the shining of the winter stars, as the longer days draw near. Holly bears a berry, as red as any blood, and the ivy grows upon the road, evergreen throughout the wood. The rising of the sun, and the rising of the deer, the hand upon the harp string, sweet singing in the choir. Holly bears a blossom, white as a lily's flower, and the goddess bears the infant son in the winter's darkest hour. The rising of the sun, and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry life, sweet singing in the shire. Holly bears a prickle, as sharp as any thorn, and the goddess in her ivy gown greets the winter sun each morn. The rising of the sun, and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry life, singing in the choir. Holly bears a bar, as an eagle, and the ivy's within our eyes, like the goddess in a song. The rising of the sun, and the running of the deer, and the shining of the winter Thank you. Please be seated. I want you to know that Gates wrote a special arrangement just for that last night. I want him appreciated. And now we come to that time in our service when we share the joys, concerns, and milestones that are present in our lives. Among those who have shared them, Ann and Diane Harrington say congratulations to Hannah, who graduated with her master's degree from Iowa this weekend. There are many joys, concerns, and milestones present in our lives, spoken, unspoken, shared, and held close in our hearts. Let us keep all of those present as we think about these things. My colleague Lynn Cox has written the following. She says, "Spirit of life, who draws us together in a web of holy relationships, make our present known with us and in us and among us. Remind us that we are not alone in history. Ignite us with the courage of the living tradition. Remind us that we are not alone in entering the future. Anchor us with patience and perseverance. Remind us that we are not alone in our times of grief and pain. Comfort us with your Spirit, manifest in human hands and voices. Remind us that we are not alone in joy and wonder. Inspire us to honor and extend the beauty we find in this world, divine music of the universe. Let our hearts beat in diverse and harmonious rhythms, cooperating with an everlasting dance of love. May we move with the rhythms of peace. May we move with the rhythms of compassion. May we move with the rhythms of justice. Source of stars and planets and water and land, open our hearts to all our neighbors. Open our souls to a renewal of faith. Open our hands to join together in the work ahead. So be it. Blessed be. Amen. I invite you now in the meditation of your hearts to join in a moment of silence, and then during the music to light candles as you are willing and able. Let us keep all of these thoughts, prayers, hopes, joys, concerns, and milestones present in our lives as we move through our days, through the end of this year and into the next. The next part of our service will celebrate Hanukkah. And since I don't know if any of us here are Jewish, I would say that we try to be careful not to appropriate a holiday, but to celebrate it, uplift it, and to learn from it in our tradition. And so I will read a version of the Hanukkah story adapted by Rabbi Sarah Y. Sapedon, who is a rabbi and a mother of four. She says, long ago, the land of Israel was ruled by the Syrian Greek king named Antiochus Epiphanes. King Antiochus counted many Jews among his subjects who lived their lives according to Jewish custom and tradition. Like Jews today, they celebrated Shabbat and marked the festivals of Passover, Sukkot, Shavuot. Unlike Jews today, though, their Jewish ancestors worshipped at the great ancient temple in the city of Jerusalem. This temple was the holiest of holy places, the center of Jewish life. But King Antiochus wanted all of his land to live the way he lived and to pray the way he prayed, not unlike some people we know today. According to Greek custom, and this meant that he did not want the Jewish people to dress differently or worship differently or eat differently. Under King Antiochus, the practice of Judaism was completely abolished. He forbid the Jews from celebrating Shabbat. He forbid the Jews from observing the festivals. And he forbid the Jews from reading or studying the Torah, their holy book. But perhaps, worst of all, King Antiochus forbid Jews to worship in the great temple. And he turned the holy temple into a place that became very unholy, making a real mess by setting up idols and altars to Greek gods inside. Many Jews were afraid for their lives, for they felt forced to follow the king's orders. But one group of brave souls decided they would not submit to the king. They would not worship foreign gods or give up their Jewish way of life. This group was called the Maccabees, and they were determined to take back their temple and defend their religious beliefs. Compared with the king's army, they were small in number, but they were mighty in spirit, with faith and relentless determination as their guides. The Maccabees won a stunning victory over the king's army. They fought hard against many odds, and they won. The Maccabees successfully took back the temple from King Antiochus, but they were heartbroken to discover that the king had not taken care of their holy space. They lovingly cleansed every inch of the temple, and then the Maccabees held a glorious rededication ceremony. The word Hanukkah means dedication, and it comes from the moment when the temple was triumphantly returned to the Jewish people. The most famous story about that rededication comes from the Talmud, where we read that when the Maccabees walked into the temple, they found only enough oil to light the menorah, the lamp, for 1 day. But miraculously, that small amount of oil lasted 8 days, which is exactly how long it took to get new oil created. Today, the celebration of Hanukkah lasts 8 days, in honor of the miracles that occurred so many years ago. This year, Hanukkah starts tonight at sundown, which is why we will not be lighting the menorah today. And the Jews will light 8 candles on the Hanukkah menorah, 1 candle for the first night, 2 for the second, and so on. Other traditions including eating potato latkes, potato pancakes, and other foods fried in oil, as well as spinning the dreidel atop, whose letters remind us, Nes Gadol Hayat Sham, a great miracle happened there. There may also be the giving and receiving of chocolate gelt, little chocolate coins, and the exchange of gifts too. How many of you would like to get chocolate coins? And like to get toys for gifts for 8 days? Yeah? Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool too. Rabbi Sarah Sapedon, who this introduction is adapted from, says, with every Hanukkah candle we light, we illumine the most important message of all, that we must always work to find light in the darkness, and we must always work to keep the light of religious freedom burning for all people, for all time. And now we're going to share our story, Hanukkah Moon, by Deborah DaCosta and illustrated by Gosia Mose. There should be illustrations on the screen for you to follow along with. So guys, if you pay attention, you can see the screen. It is the dark in the morning, and we leave for Aunt Louisa's house. We breathe foggy clouds into the air. Tell me again, Mama, what's going to happen at Aunt Louisa's? Mama smiles. A very special Hanukkah party. But Aunt Louisa, she just moved here from Mexico. Will she know how we celebrate Hanukkah here? Of course, Papa says. And Aunt Louise says, you'll get to celebrate the Hanukkah moon. The Hanukkah moon, I ask. I've heard of a blue moon and the man in the moon, but I've never heard of a Hanukkah moon. Before I get an answer, we pull up to Aunt Louisa's. She's waiting in the doorway, holding her cat Paco, who seems to be smiling. Welcome, welcome, she says. Papa hands her my suitcase, and then he tucks some chocolate Hanukkah coins into my pocket. To sweeten your visit, he says, hugging me. We wave as Mama and Papa pull away, and I unwrap a chocolate coin and pop it into my mouth. Aunt Louisa's house is filled with colorful rugs and lots of photos on the wall. I admire a shining pink banner hanging over the fireplace which says, Feliz Hanukkah. The letters are made out of tiny portraits of birds. That means Happy Hanukkah in Spanish, Aunt Louisa explains. The birds are from my bird tree. She points a huge bare branch tree in her backyard. Hanging from the dining room ceiling is a gigantic piñata shaped like a dreidel. Wow, I say. When are we going to break open that piñata? The night of the Hanukkah moon, Aunt Louisa replies. What exactly is a Hanukkah moon, I ask, wondering if it is a moon shaped like a potato latke. You'll soon find out enough, Aunt Louisa says. I pop another chocolate coin into my mouth. I wonder about birds. I can't see in a moon I've never heard of. In the kitchen window is a big Hanukkah that looks like a boat with birds, squirrels, raccoons, and deer. I like your Hanukkah, I tell Aunt Louisa. I've never seen one like it. I made it myself, she says. It's my little Noah's Ark. I modeled it after all my backyard friends. I look out the window. The backyard is empty. I guess Aunt Louisa has a great imagination. That night we celebrated lighting the Hanukkah and eating latkes. I give Aunt Louisa a little silver dreidel from Israel. She gives me a small package wrapped in shining blue paper. It's a little camera. I take pictures of Paco sleeping on his back, Paco playing with a ball, and Paco looking out the window. Aunt Louisa smiles. I'm glad you like taking pictures, Isobel. Maybe you can visit one of my photography classes. You take classes, I ask? I teach them, she answers, at the university. You'll get to meet some of my students soon. I look outside again before I go to bed. There is hardly any moon, just a tiny sliver of light. I fall asleep dreaming of a moon shaped like a giant dreidel that pops open, showering the world with Hanukkah gifts. Aunt Louisa wakes me early. The sun is just coming up. Quick, she says, throw on your coat and slippers and take your camera. We walk toward the bird tree. Shh, she says, walk softly. The tree is full of birds chirping and buzzing and pecking away at feeders. Take some pictures, she whispers, and then we can look in my bird book and see which ones they are. I take lots and lots of pictures. Aunt Louisa takes some too. And then, when we are finished, we go back to the house for jelly donuts and cocoa. While Aunt Louisa prints the pictures, I get dressed. When I look outside again, the sun is up, but the birds are gone. Aunt Louisa spreads our photos out on the dining room table next to her bird book. We have taken pictures of black-capped chickadees, cardinals, kinglets, and blue jays. The chickadees are wearing little black hats. They look like little yarmulkes. Maybe they were Hanukkah birds, and maybe they will bring the Hanukkah moon. That night, after we light the Hanukkah, Aunt Louisa gives me a beautiful scrapbook of bird photos. Outside, the moon has gotten even smaller. I wake up to a delicious smell. Aunt Louisa is baking dreidel-shaped cookies. As I help her cut them out, I sing, "Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel, I made it out of clay." And Aunt Louisa sings back, "Trompo, trompo, 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 lo hice de barro." We sing more verses in English and Spanish while we sprinkle the cookies with colored sugar. I eat 2 before Aunt Louisa stops me. "You can have plenty more tonight while we celebrate the Hanukkah moon. At last, I will get to see the mysterious Hanukkah moon." I help Aunt Louisa cut vegetables for couscous. We brush Paco until his fur shines. Aunt Louisa puts plates of grapes, nuts, and berries outside on a low table. She adds a small bowl of water. "We may have some surprise visitors tonight," she tells me. "Well, why don't we just invite them in?" I ask. Aunt Louisa just laughs, and I wonder if the surprise guests have bad manners. It starts getting dark when Aunt Louisa's students arrive. They kiss Aunt Louisa on the cheek and shake my hand. "Isobel, meet Vida, Batsheva, and Naomi." Aunt Louisa says, "Vida is carrying a huge bunch of flowers. Batsheva holds a straw basket filled with little boxes of sweets, and Naomi has 2 cameras dangling from her shoulders." We join Aunt Louisa in blessing the lights. She adds a special reading. "Tonight is Rosh Hodesh, the beginning of a new moon, and an important time for women. You remember that when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments, he found the Israelites worshiping a golden calf. According to tradition, the women refused to contribute their gold to help build the idol. Their reward was a special holiday once a month, Rosh Hodesh, the time of the new moon." "Wow," I said, "I didn't know that." After dinner, it's time to break open the piñata. I stand in a chair and whack it hard with a stick, while Aunt Louisa holds me tight. Out fall bags of chocolate coins and tiny prizes. Wow and double wow is all I could say. This is the best Hanukkah. "It's not over yet," Aunt Louisa says. "Let's go outside." It's very dark on Aunt Louisa's porch. The sky is black as ink. There is no moon at all. It has disappeared like the morning birds. "Shh," Aunt Louisa whispers. "We don't want to scare away our guests." "But where's the Hanukkah moon?" I whisper. Aunt Louisa points toward the sky. "It's there," she says. "It's the Luna Nueva, the new moon that always appears during Hanukkah." "But why can't I see it?" I ask. "Because the bright side is facing away from the earth," she explains. "Tomorrow night, it will start to reappear." My eyes are getting used to the dark, and now I can see the guests. 2 deer and a fat raccoon are eating the nuts and berries Aunt Louisa left for them. "Look," I whisper. "Yes," she whispers back. They come in the dark when they feel safe. While we watch, Aunt Louisa's students take pictures with their special night cameras. When all the food is gone, the animals disappear, and we go inside. As the guests leave, we wish each other a Hodesh Tov, a good month. That night, I dream about a moon, birds, and animals that appear and disappear. In the morning, I pack my camera, scrapbook, and piñata prizes. Aunt Louisa braids my hair into one long braid just like hers. I feel sad to leave. When Mom and Papa come, Aunt Louisa and I give each other hugs. I even hug Paco. And I give Aunt Louisa some of my chocolate coins to sweeten the rest of your Hanukkah, so it will be sweet too, I tell her. Can I come back again sometime and take more pictures and see your backyard friends and celebrate Rosh Chodesh? Absolutely, Aunt Louisa smiles, saying, and she pops a chocolate coin into her mouth. I smile back and pop one into my mouth, too. So ends our story. So let us join now in a song celebrating the Hanukkah spirit, number 221 in your hymnal, Light One Candle, and rise as you're willing and able. Light one candle, children, the thanks that the light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. And light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Light together become our own foe. Light one candle for those who believe. We live one call. Light one candle for all we believe in, that anger won't tear us apart. And light one candle, bring us together with peace as a song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Memory that's valued so highly, we keep it alive in that flame. That's the covenant. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Thank you. Please be seated. Today is the third Sunday of Advent, which is why we have 3 candles lit. The Advent wreath or Advent crown is a Christian tradition that symbolizes the passage of the 4 weeks of Advent in the liturgical calendar in the Western Christian Church. It is traditionally a Lutheran practice, although it is spread to many other Christian denominations. And it's usually a horizontal evergreen wreath with 4 candles, sometimes with a 5th white candle in the center, often called a Christ candle. Beginning with the first Sunday of Advent, the lighting of a candle can be accompanied by a Bible reading, a devotional reading, and prayers. An additional candle is lit during each subsequent week and until last Sunday before Christmas. all 4 candles are lit. So next Sunday, we would actually light all 4 candles and the Christ candle. Many Advent wreaths include a 5th Christ candle, which is lit on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And the custom originated in family settings, but has also become widespread in public settings. The concept of the Advent wreath originated among German Lutherans in the 16th century. However, it's not until 3 centuries later that the modern Advent wreath took shape. Research by Professor Hemming of the Lutheran Seminary in St. Paul points to Jan Heinrich Wichard in 1808 to 1881, a Protestant pastor in Germany and a pioneer in urban mission work among the poor, as the inventor of the modern Advent wreath. During Advent, children at the mission school, founded by Wichern in Hamburg, would ask daily if Christmas had arrived. And in 1839, he built a large wooden ring made out of an old cartwheel with 20 small red and 4 large white candles. A small candle was lit successfully every weekday and Saturday during Advent. On Sundays, a large white candle was lit. The custom gained ground among Protestant churches in Germany, evolved into the smaller wreath with 4 or 5 candles known today. Roman Catholics in Germany adopted the custom in the 1920s. So it's only about 100 years old, okay? And spread in the 1930s to North America. Professor Hemming's research also indicates the custom did not reach the United States until the 30s, even among German Lutheran immigrants. UUs have adopted the Advent wreath and the season to reflect our values and honor them as well as the season. Our reading is by the Reverend Jane Jepka from her book, A Small Heaven, which is available from the UUA bookstore. I highly recommend it. It's entitled Myth and Miracle. She says, this is going to sound like an Easter message, a trifle defensive in tone, that responds to imaginary critics who chastise us, meaning UUs, for finding meaning in the Easter story, though we may not believe it happened. Or they may tease us about our icky spring bunny daffodil talk, as though we're trying to celebrate Easter but doing it wrong. About the time my spirit wants to soar with alleluias and rebirth, with myth and natural miracle, those imaginary voices complain about biblical literalism on one hand and plain theological denial on the other. Christmas works the same way. Myth and nature. We have a religious story of the birth of a holy baby, and we have the miracle of the lengthening of days. Critics like to smirk at one or the other, but not me. I go for myth and miracle 100%. A baby was born, the story goes. The baby was special. The baby would bring peace and justice and love. Everyone was around was amazed by the child and awed. The baby brought hope. The people knew joy. I love this story. I love it not because I believe a virgin bore a newborn king on 12/25 in the year 0. I love it because it reminds me of the ancient wisdom of celebrating human greatness and holiness. And the lengthening of days. The lengthening days, how can anybody say bah humbug to the very light itself? Together on Christmas, we light our little candles so that the world might seem less bleak. We might feel less afraid, and flickers of safe expectation might again come our way. I can't think why I'd hold back at Christmas time, so I wish each of you a season full of infant hope and steady light. Merry Christmas. Please join us in our responsive reading, number 621, by Margaret Gooding. I had the pleasure of meeting Margaret Gooding years ago. Her name, everybody knew her as Peg, when she was in her retirement and working at the Foz Center at Meadville Lombard School when I was in seminary. she offers us the following reflection. Please join me in response. They told me that when Jesus was born, a star appeared in the heavens above the place where the young child lay.
When I was very young, I had no trouble believing wondrous things. I believed in the star.
It was a wonderful miracle, part of a long ago story foretelling an uncommon life.
They told me a supernova appeared in the heavens in its dying burst of fire.
When I was older and believed in science and reason, I believed the story of the star explained.
But I found I was unwilling to give up the star, fitting symbol for the birth of one whose uncommon life has been long remembered.
The star explained became the star understood for Jesus, for Buddha, for Zarathustra.
Why not a star? Some bright star shines somewhere in the heavens each time a child is born.
Who knows what it may foretell? Who knows what common life can unfold if we but give it a chance? I invite you now to rise as you're willing and able and sing with us our hymn of response, Within the Shining of the Star, number 238. Within the shining of a star, we catch a glimpse of who we are. In every infant unborn we see the hope of our nativity, the miracle of each new birth can shake and save the stony earth. Newborns cry, awaiting sky. Thank you. Please be seated. At this time, my colleague Victoria Weinstein offers us reflection. This congregation is a theologically diverse religious community with membership open to all who are in accordance with our principles and mission and vision. We are a welcoming congregation to all people of sexual orientations, and we unconditionally welcome any and of all of you to our community of mutual caring and serious intent to grow as spiritual and moral beings. Our congregation is entirely self-governed by democratic process. One of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all the financial support for our many ministries from among ourselves. Generosity, therefore, is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and our institutional well-being. This congregation is supported by the pledges of our members and friends. The offering provides an additional opportunity for expressing generosity by those attending today's service and online. Half of the undesignated offering this week will go for end-of-year staff bonuses. Online giving may be done via our website, uucqc.org, by PayPal and credit card. You are now invited to participate in the blessing of giving as the ushers come among you to accept the gifts of the congregation. Please generous as you are able. Thank you. You did the offering? How did I miss that? During the...
Still getting used to it being separate rejoicing and sorrows, so sorry, we didn't catch that.
Okay.
You want to get more?
Well, I'm still going to let Gates play Good King Wenceslas. So take this as a moment to reflect on generosity. Before we sing our closing hymn, I want to remind you of other services this week. Wednesday night there will be a solstice Yuletide Yule service at 6:30 here in the evening, and next Saturday night will be the lessons and carols music service and readings service at 6 o'clock here on Saturday night. Sunday morning next week there will be no service here, and I encourage you to enjoy time with your families. And if you want to watch services, there are many services on other congregations around the country, especially some of the larger churches, like First Dallas, First Houston, First Chicago, I believe, many other places. So feel free to indulge in those as you unwrap your gifts and celebrate either a time of just putting your feet up or hanging with the grandkids or the children. So, and then on the 1st of January, there will be a service here, and we invite you to come and join everyone at that time. So come with your bells on the next two services here this week, if you can, and then we will see you in the new year. Our closing song is Here We Come A-Wassailing. And if some of you remember the service I did a couple of weeks ago about the modern Christmas, about how it was sort of about street activity and people going to people's homes and kind of threatening them, if you don't give us goodies, we're going to make your life difficult. Well, this song is one of those songs. So get into the mood, have fun, and we'll sing Here We Come A-Wassailing. Please join us as you're willing and able, and standing and rise as you're willing and able in body and spirit.
Among the leaves so green, here we come a-wandering so far to be seen. Will the joy come to you, and to you your wassail too, and God bless you and send you a happy new year, and God send you a happy new year. For the door, we are your neighbor's children, whom you have seen before. Will the joy come to you, and to you your wassail too, and God bless you and send you a happy new year, and God send you a happy new year. As the master of the house, Mr. Star, and all the little children around the table come. Let joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. May God bless you and send you a happy new year. May God send you a happy new year. Master and the mistress sit beside the side.
Please join us in extinguishing our chalice and sending our light into the world. Together we say, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts till we are together again. May you go in peace, return in peace, know nothing but love and joy and generosity, both in your heart and the hearts of those you meet. May the Eternal bless you and keep you. May the Eternal smile upon you and all people always. Amen, and blessed be. Thank you.